Mr. Toots, the Jedi, I believe, and you're here in the office. And today we're going to study for your test 1.2 tomorrow. It's going to have equations, inequalities, and literal equations. So much fun! Let's get started. Let me start recording here. So, hit record. And we are recording. Gotta love Zoom. Okay, I'm going to show all your work on this paper, and this will help you out on your test tomorrow. So on the first problem here, we're going to solve for y. Okay, so remember, you want to isolate the variable you're talking about, so we're going to circle the y. Now then, think about what's going to happen here. We've got to get rid of the 5x and the 2, don't we? The 5x is being added, so we're going to do the opposite and put it across, and then the 2 is getting multiplied, so we're going to divide it. So the 5x is going to get moved across, and it's negative now. When we move it across, it will turn into a positive, won't it? So we would add 5x to both sides, wouldn't we? And then we would have 2y equals 12 plus 5x. Technically, you would put the x first. We'll do that when we rewrite it. Now then, we're going to divide by 2, and we're just going to draw 2 fraction bars here, or 3 fraction bars, and divide by 2. Now we're going to make it y equal mx plus b like you did in 8th grade. So we'll get y equals, let's put the x next, 5 over 2x will not simplify, and then 12 divided by 2 is 6-sided. This would be, y'all did this in 8th grade. This would be a line with a y-intercept of 6 and a slope of 5 over 2. Y'all have got to be able to do this like next month because we're going to be doing this. So make sure you can solve an equation for y. Wow, let's go to number 2. Number 2, we're going to solve an inequality. So much fun. Okay, now number 2, we have a fraction, don't we? So to get rid of the fraction, we're going to drive that bluebell truck, right? So the denominator is 2, so every store will get a 2. Okay, so we're going to multiply the whole equation by 2. I'm going to put a 2 above the 3x and above the 1. And this fraction bar right here counts as one store. So we're going to put a 2 above the fraction bar. I will not put a 2 above the 5x and the 7. That fraction bar represents one big store. Now then, let's go through and do sign. We wrote 3 2's down. We're going to do sign, number, letter 3 times. So 2 times 3x. 2 times 3 is 6. The letter's x. Sign, number, letter. 2 times 1 is a positive 2. Sign and number. The less than won't change. And on the right, the 2's will divide out. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. And what's left is 5 parentheses x plus 7. Now then I have a bluebell truck of 5. So I'm going to drive by a bluebell truck. Mr. Toops likes bluebell ice cream. Okay, and then we're going to just multiply. The 6x and the 2 won't change. And then 5x plus 35, right? 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 7 is 35. And remember, when you have an inequality, usually you want your letters on the left. So we're going to take this 5x and move it across, aren't we? So we're going to subtract the 5x, and we're going to get x plus 2 less than 35. When you get here, you can get that calculator out and bam! Use that calculator, okay? Make sure you're showing your steps though. So I'm going to write down x plus 2 less than 35, and now we're going to use our calculator. So get the calculator out and type in that 35. So punch 35 on the calculator. Now then, you will not punch 35 plus 2, will you? Because that 2 has got to get moved over. So 35 minus 2, hit enter, and you get 33. Is there anything in front of the x? There's nothing in front of the x. So if you divide by 1, you get 33, don't you? This would be the answer. If we had a number in front of the x, you would hit divide by that number, and bam! Get your answer. Make sure you're showing your steps though. Let's go to number 3. Remember on number 3, it's an inequality. Usually we want our letters on the left. So we're going to take this 2x and move it to the left. To do that, the opposite of minus 2x is add 2x. And then I'm going to get 15 minus 3x less than 6. Now then, we could use our calculators. We have a gx plus s in total, don't we? growing number, starting number, that's kind of what the equation would look like, okay? Most equations will end up like this. So we're going to use our calculator and type in the number all by itself first. So type in 6. Now then, you're not going to add the 3 because the 3 has the x. You've got to move that 15 over. You will not do 6 plus 15 because the 15 is positive. So on your calculator, hit 6 minus 15. And you get 9, don't you? Negative 9, actually, right? So you get negative 9. 6 minus 15, negative 9. Negative 9 should be shown on your calculator. Now then, hit divide by, and divide by the negative 3. And you get positive 3. But remember, you need to write down flip if you divide by a negative. So x will be greater than positive 3. Ho, 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 ho. So remember, when we get to right here where that 6 is, where we get to the 6, you're going to type that number in the calculator. You add or subtract the other constant across, then you hit divide by the coefficient. Okay, and that will get your answer every time. You got to show those steps though. Let's go to number 4. Number 4, solve for p. So let's circle the p. Now then, the key here is you're multiplying everything, right? So if you're multiplying everything, you're not going to add or subtract anything across. There is no fraction, is there? So when we move this RT across, it's going to go from the numerator into the denominator. So RP will equal to the interest divided by the rate times the time. Notice that we moved the R and T across the fraction bar, didn't we? We did not add or subtract it, so it's going to go from the top of the fraction to the bottom. If it were on the bottom, it would go from the bottom to the top. It's an easy way to get these right if it's multiple choice, because you know your RT should end up on the bottom. Piece of cake. So this is the answer for number 4. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Now then, let's go to number 5. Number 5, rules. Okay, so number 5, what is the solution to the following inequality? Give one number that would satisfy the inequality. So we're going to solve it and then get an answer, okay? So on number 5, we need to distribute that 6, don't we? So we're going to distribute the 6, and we have 6x plus 6 greater than or equal to 22 plus 5x. Oh. Now then, what do we usually tell you to do next? There's 2 x's, the x's go left. So I'm going to take that 5x and move it across. So 6x minus 5x is just 1x, or just x, plus 6 greater than or equal to 22, and this is where you can pull out the calculator, right? So get your calculator out, and you're going to plug in 22 in the calculator. You will not punch 22 plus 6, will you? That 6 has got to move across. You'll do 22 minus 6, hit enter. That gives you 16. There is nothing in front of the x. So that is the answer. And then we want one number that would satisfy. What's a number bigger than 16? I like 20. So 20 would work, wouldn't it? 20 would be a number that would work. Oh. Oh, oh, oh. What a blast. Okay. Oh, you gotta love shadow problems. This brings flashback to 6th grade. Because you did this in 6th grade, because I taught 6th grade before. Oh. So on number 6, Annie observes that that she has a 5-foot shadow. Her friend helps her measure a tree shadow, and they determine it to be 15 feet. If Annie is 3 foot tall, she's like pretty short. How tall is the tree? Okay, so on this problem here, draw fraction bar equals fraction bar. And let's put Annie in the first fraction. So Annie has a 5-foot shadow and she's 3 foot tall, right? So to label that, the 5 would be the shadow and the 3 would be the height, wouldn't it? So she has a 5-foot shadow and her height is 3 feet. Now then, let's go to this is 6th grade here. Let's go to the next one. The other number is 15. Is 15 how tall the tree is or the shadow? Excellent. It's the height of or the length of the shadow, right? So the 15 would go on top. We do not know what this is. And remember, do not use the bat and the ball. Do not use the bat and the ball. It won't work when you have algebraic expressions in the proportion. Do not use the bat and the ball. So let's go on. We're going to show the cross products. Okay? So let's put an x over the equal sign and we're going to cross product. So we're going to multiply the 5 times the x and get 5x. And we're going to do 3 times 15. So I'm going to get 5x equals 3 times 15 is 45. I'm going to divide by 5, and I'm going to end up with x equals 9. Ho, 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 ho. So that tree is 9 foot tall. So we have a tree that's 9 foot tall. That's what we want to know, isn't it? Oh, which is not that big of a tree. Okay, let's continue on. We're rocking and rolling. We're over halfway done. Let's go to number 7. Number 7 has a fraction. Fractions are cool. They're just like eating big stuffed Oreos. So let's go to the next one, number 7. And we're going to, what's our denominator? The denominator will get bluebell truck on it. So our denominator is 2. So we're going to multiply everything in that equation by 2. Get rid of the fraction right off the bat. Now then, we wrote 3 2's on top, didn't we? We're going to do sign, number, letter 3 times. So on the first one, 2 divided by 2 is 1. So the 2's cancel out. And we have a negative 5x. That's our sign, our number, and our letter. Then we continue on. A positive 2 times a positive 8 is a plus 16. Put less in, and 2 times 18 is 36. Remember, that bluebell truck will cancel out the denominator. It will divide out. That's why you put the bluebell truck on there. Now we don't have a fraction. Now then you could use your calculator, can't you? So get out your calculator and type in that 36. Remember, we're going to add or subtract to the 36 and then divide. So we're going to take that 16 and move it across on your calculator. Punch 36 minus 16 and hit enter. On your calculator, it will say 20. Now then, drop this down. And then on the calculator, hit divide by, and we're going to divide by negative 5, aren't we? Since we divided by a negative, write down flip, and we're going to flip it. So we're going to get k greater than negative 4. Ho, 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 ho. That was fun. Oh, oh, oh. Just like eating a double stuffed Oreo. Oh, oh, oh. Number 8. What a blast. Isn't this fun? Yeah. Okay, so we got to find out what mistake she made. So what I would do is I would write down the problem up here. Greater than negative 4 parentheses 4w plus 10. Okay, so we're going to go step by step and we're going to check everything that's right. So on this one right here, this is right and that right. We didn't have to change it. The inequality's right. And then we're going to bluebell truck the negative 4. So negative 4 times positive 4 is negative 16. The letter's W. That's right. Sign, number, letter, right? A negative times a positive is a negative, and 4 times 10 is 40. That's right. So that step is go. Now then on the next step, we got 22. How did we get the 22? If you move the 16 across and add 16, 16 plus 6 is 22. That checks. The 2 checks and the negative 40 checks. So on that step, she moved the 16 over. You don't see it though, do you? But she moved that negative 16 over and combined it. Now then the next step would be to move this 2 over, wouldn't it? So we would subtract 2, wouldn't we? The 22w drops. That's good. But what about negative 40 minus 2? Negative 40 minus 2. 40's larger, so it's negative. But the signs are not different. They're the same. This shouldn't be negative 38. It should be negative 42 in it. So if this were step, let's say step 3, it would be step 3 would be the answer. That 38 is wrong. So that's where she made her error, which was she didn't combine the constants correctly. Continuing on, we're almost done. Okay, number 9, another 6th grade proportion problem. There are 105 members of the high school marching band. Mr. Toops loves the band. The band is like the bomb, okay? Oh, Mr. Toops loves the band. There are 105 members of the high school marching band. 3 out of every 7 are boys. How many total boys are in the high school band? So let's make our first fraction. This would be our first fraction here, wouldn't it? So put 3 over 7. 3 are boys out of the total, right? Now then, draw another fraction bar. We got to find out where that 105 goes. The 105 wouldn't be the number of boys, it's the total in it. And then our x would be how many boys, which is what we want, don't we? So we want the number of boys in the band, okay? So now we're going to put an x over the equal sign so we can see what we're going to cross multiply. We're going to take 3 and multiply it times 105, and that's going to equal to 7x. So 3 times 105 is 315 equals 7x. Divide by 7. Do not use the bat and the ball. Do not use the bat and the ball. When we start putting algebraic expressions in these proportions, it will not work. So make sure you're showing your cross products. 315 divided by 7 is 45. So x equals 45, which means there's 45 boys in the band, right? There's 45 boys in the band. Oh. Continuing on. Oh, you gotta love this. We're almost done. It's like the Oreo cookies are almost done. No more Oreo cookies after this. You're gonna I want some more math problems. Math is so much fun. Let's do number 10. On number 10, 5 minus 2x greater than 35. You could use a calculator right off the bat, can't you? So type in that 35 into the calculator. And then we're going to move that 5 over. Will we do 35 plus 5 or 35 minus 5? That's right. The 5 is positive, so we got to subtract it. So on the calculator, 35 minus 5, hit enter. And you get excellent. You get 30. Now then, drop this. This is all you got to show. This is your steps here. And then once that 30 is in here, hit divide by, and then punch -2. Since we divided by a negative, write down flip, and we're going to get x less than or equal to -15. Okay, so remember, when you get to that 35, just do 35 plus or minus something, hit enter, then divide by, enter, and boom, you got it. So you're going to add or subtract, hit enter, get that answer, hit divide by, type in your coefficient, hit enter, and bam, you got the answer. Remember, if you divide by a negative, you've got to flip that inequality. And lastly, number 11. Okay, Stan earned $775 per hour plus an additional 100 in tips. He earned 160 y'all to the nearest hour. What is the least number of hours he had to work to earn this much money? Okay, so we do not know how many hours he worked. But we know our growing number. This would be our starting number, and this would be the total. So basically, you're going to do gx plus s and total. Okay, the g is the growing number, the s is the starting number, and the t is the total. So that's an easy way to set these problems up. Most of your Algebra 1 problems are going to be gx plus s and a total. So on this problem, our growing number is 755x plus he earned $100, and to the nearest hour, what is the least number of hours he could have worked? Less than or equal to 160. So to the nearest, let's just put this. Okay? We won't have an equal there because we might get a decimal. Now then, we want this x all by itself. This is set up where we could use a calculator. So on your calculator, start with that 160. So type 160 in the calculator. You won't do 160 plus 100, you'll do excellent. 160 minus 100 and you get 60. Drop the 7.55x, drop your inequality, and then punch divide by on the calculator, and then hit 7.55. And Mr. Toops needs a calculator, so let him pull up his calculator right here. So 60 divided by 7.55, or 7 5500ths, and I get 7.94. Okay, so let's just look at that. So 7.94, so x less than 7.94. Now then, we want to know the least number of hours he could have worked. And he's got to get to the 160, doesn't he? Okay, so if he works 7 hours, he's not going to get that, is he? This actually should be greater than. Let's put this as greater than, because he's got to make over the 160, right? Okay, so he can't work 7 hours and get there. He's got to do x is greater than, or actually, there's 2 ways to write it. You can put x greater than 7 or x greater than or equal to 8. It depends on how they word it, okay? So he's got to work more than 7 hours, or he's got to work 8 or more hours to get over 160, doesn't he? So he can work more than 7 hours, which is x greater than 7, or he can work more than or equal to 8 hours, which is greater than or equal to 8. It depends on how they word that and put that in the multiple choice. Okay, you have a test tomorrow. You are going to do wonderful. Write down always believe on that test because you are going to rock and sock it, okay? You are amazing. Always believe in yourself, and you are awesome. Oh.